It blows my mind that like people are okay with that combination. They're okay with the combination of managing a client's ads with the client's credit card in the ad account and then having a contractor that they're subcontracting to manage that. Like that blows my mind. That is like the peak of irresponsibility. A lot of the people I'm talking to are struggling to grow. And usually it starts with one thing, like I can't get clients, or it's like I can't find a good contractor to outsource to. But in a lot of cases, I've also found like as I started to dig deeper, I've noticed that there's actually more underlying issues. You're trying to scale too fast. And it's what all the gurus preach. All of them preach all you need is 5 clients at $2,000 a month and you've got $10,000 a month.
Who's the one saying you got to go at this speed, and if not, you're a loser?
Iman Gaji. He has a quote. It's effortless to attract at least 3 to 4 new clients per month and produce $100,000 per year. To make $100,000 per year in a job, it takes qualifications, decades of work experience, and slave-like hours. When you start an agency business, 100K is the norm.
Okay. This is just taking advantage of people's insecurities.
You're not a man unless you're making 10K a month. If your agency isn't successful fast, you're a failure. Nobody is scaling fast.
You should be mentally prepared to grind and hustle for 3 years. Don't compare yourself to the guru thing. And I'm even going to say con men, because a lot of them are.
Because he hired someone off of Fiverr to build a WordPress website for a client that he charged his client for. Then all of a sudden it started having serious loading issues. He doesn't know what to do.
I do. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because this is one of the things that the internet has just decided is okay and normal. I'm looking around like, who decided this? Who decided that it's cool to go start a business you know zero? Oh, you started. You already clicked the button.
Yeah, well, might as well record more than last.
I wasn't even ready. I didn't even. Hold on. Let me. Like I'm getting my brain in a. Here we go. All right, now I'm ready.
I do have to do all the dad things today. We can start with that.
What do you mean?
So we have a ton of oak trees on our property, like a lot, and I've got to pick up the leaves constantly because if you just leave the leaves there, your grass is going to die. Because I get a whole blanket of leaves. So I constantly pick them up with my mower, which is like part mulcher as well. And then I was doing this yesterday. I have to do my backyard in sections because it's so big. So like I did one section yesterday. Then I was like, okay, I'll do the next section before I lose sunlight. And like halfway through it, the huge gust of wind blew. And like the first section I did just got covered in leaves again. I was like, son of a bitch. So I got to do that again today. And then I have to go to Menards and finish getting Christmas lights for my house. So I hung like half of them. Then I need to get more. But also yesterday morning, I found out my bathroom sink upstairs was leaking. So I have to replace like a whole drain, like a whole pipe. So mowing the lawn, hanging Christmas lights, and replacing a sink drain. I've become the ultimate dad. I don't even know if
it's dad stuff. It's just like man stuff. Yeah.
I think it's dad. This is stuff that my dad did. Well, it's funny because like the sink was leaking before, and like Lauren had mentioned it to me, and it's taken me forever to like actually like address the problem, because when I looked, I was like, well, it's not leaking anymore, but like that doesn't mean it's not gonna leak. And I tried to catch her, and I was like, if it's leaking and I'm not fixing it, why don't you fix it? But and you know, I was trying to get her on like a guy versus girl thing, but she was like, you didn't ask me to. I was like,
gotcha.
So that's fun. I hate plumbing, but I don't have a good segue into.
That's fine. Let's just do it.
All right. Well,
people are like, oh, long intros, blah blah blah. Look at us, 3 minutes, boom. You see that? Look at us. Look at us.
All right. Well, if you're tuning into this episode, either you're a diehard follower or just a casual follower, or the title of this episode caught you or got you interested. So I've been having conversations with a lot of newer agency owners and freelancers, and there's a lot of things they're kind of stuck. Everyone seems to be stuck at like the 1 to 2 clients per month, and they can't really I'm going to quote air quote scale to 10,000 a month. And I always air quote that because 10,000 a month isn't scaled at all. After that, like 100K a month, that's scaled. I say that, but once we get to 100K a month, I'm going to be like, that's not scaled either. 1 million a month is scaled. But I've been noticing there's been a lot of differences in a lot of reasons and why certain agency owners or freelancers aren't considered scaled or aren't. Sorry, I had to I lost my train of thought because I heard a crash upstairs and I'm the only one here.
What?
And I think it's the Roomba. I think my Roomba smacked into something or like fell down the staircase. All right, let me recalibrate.
Wait, are the pets there? Could they?
They're down. They're at my desk.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
My 25-pound cat though. I don't know where he's at. He could be up there.
Maybe, yeah, he collided with the Roomba.
The Roomba just like ran over him. No, okay. So getting back on track here. So the reasons why a lot of the people I'm talking to are struggling to grow to a more desirable number are kind of like intermixed in a bunch of different things. And usually it starts with one thing, like I can't get clients, or it's like I can't find a good contractor to outsource to. But in a lot of cases, I've also found like as I started to dig deeper, I've noticed that there's actually more underlying issues in what their issue is. So the first one is, one of the ones that I mentioned was I can't get contractors to execute the work. Well, is that the problem, or is the problem you don't have your processes handled internally? And we'll get to that, but I want to kind of set the stage for this episode, which is the 5 reasons why your agency isn't scaling, in our opinion. So I'll start it off with number 1. And number 1 is important for me because this one is you're trying to scale too fast. And it's what all the gurus preach. All of them preach all you need is 5 clients at $2,000 a month and you've got $10,000 a month. Or all you need is 1 client at $10,000 a month. And I've said this before, but whatever you charge, you have to deliver the same value. So if you're charging $10,000 a month, which by the way is like the minimum for what like SEO costs for like Gary Vee's agency, is you have to be able and willing to provide that level of value and that expertise. And business owners aren't stupid. They're going to pick up on the fact that you're pulling one over on them if you're not delivering that value month over month, and they will leave you after a month or 2. So getting 5 clients of that is extremely difficult when you factor in churn and trying to develop a service that actually repeats. So
we've been very honest about that too, though, in the past, where we've talked about our failures and stuff. And one thing that we learned early on was, once you break that 4-digit mark, once you start asking a company for over $1,000 a month, you got to know what you're doing because they're going to hold you more accountable than just being in the 3-digit range. Right.
There's always the argument where it's like people are always like, or there's the meme that says, it's like $500 client and it's like like a very demanding person. Then it's like $10,000 a month a client. They're like, here's the check.
Yeah.
That's never been the case. That's not a single time. Maybe like there's probably like a threshold into which like the value you deliver versus the cost of the service that you're providing that is in line with the rest of the market. There's probably like a threshold in which they're like, yeah, here's the check. And it also depends on the service you're offering. Like if you're offering like administrative work, yeah, it probably is more of like a here's the check because they just need that work offloaded. But if you actually have to deliver results on the service that you're providing, there's probably more that goes into that. So all of our clients that have high dollars, they're the most demanding ones. I mean, they're the ones that expect more because they're paying more. So I don't know where this notion of, just get high paying clients, they don't care where the money goes.
Wait, so all right, you say point 1, just say it like flat out again. because I had questions about it that I want to ask you, but I just want to hear it again.
I said you're trying to scale too fast.
Who's who's deciding this? Who's the one saying you got to go at this speed, and if not, you're a loser? Like, where are these decisions
Hey,
coming from, or
dude.
who's saying this sort of stuff? I don't get it.
All
What?
right.
How do
I'll
people get
I'll,
this in their
I'll
brain?
call someone out now. Iman Gaji. He's the. I mean, he's like the number one person I think of when they're like, "This is how fast you can scale." He has a quote in one of his videos that I'm gonna find this because I actually wrote notes on this one for a future potential episode.
This is yet another guy I don't know or remember. I remember I had to send you a message though, and I just said whatever sounded the close to his name, and I was like, "Hey, Gandhi Bali, message me." I don't know what happened, but I don't know why it came up. Do you
Okay,
remember?
yeah, I do. I remember someone was applying and they had like a similar name or something.
Ah, okay, okay, okay.
Okay, this is his quote. So in his agency navigator video, he states, "When you set up and run your agency the quote right way, it's effortless to attract at least 3 to 4 new clients and produce $100,000 per year. When you execute this process correctly, you should get at least 3 to 4 new clients per month. To make $100,000 per year in a job, it takes qualifications, decades of work experience, and slave like hours. When you start an agency business, 100K is the norm." There's your answer.
Okay. Like, that's what I got to say to that. Okay. Seriously, I mean, who blah, it just makes me
There's
feel
just
gross.
there's
Like, it
so
makes me
much.
feel gross because somebody, what, this is just taking advantage of people's insecurities, because the people who feel bad about this just, they're still dependent on other people's approval and whatnot. The fact is, it's your life. Like, grow as fast or as slow as you want to. You're the one who has to live with it, and what you are or aren't doing. uh don't let anyone tell you what to do, including us, right? We listen to us. I mean, thanks. And Jake always gets mad when I say this. I'm like, hey, we're just guys. We are, though. We're just guys. And by all means, come back and fight with us if you're like, I disagree with that. But don't just accept these things that people are saying and then decide that. I mean, if you want to decide and agree with that sort of thing, and then say, yeah, no, that makes sense, and I want to, but I don't know, don't beat yourself up. Everybody's going on their own thing here, right? We're not, I don't know. You don't have enemies. I think that you're doing your own thing, and do what you're capable of to the best of your ability.
I see a lot of TikTok gurus out there saying that you're not a man unless you're making 10K a month. Like it's the same message. And I see that all the time. And like there is this notion of if your agency isn't successful fast, you're a failure. And I'll only say this: the only realistic expectation that I've ever probably heard, because we actually attained it, was 1,000 days to replace a day job income. So if you make $50,000 a year at your day job, it can take approximately 1,000 days to replicate that. And I would say that it takes 1,000 days of nights after your day job to replicate that. So basically 1,000 days to double your total income. Because if we would have left, if both of us would have just jumped ship, I bet it would have taken us less than 1,000 days. But the risk was way higher, and we also like literally just couldn't afford that. So
I think it's 1,000 days of full-time effort, however you're doing it. So we split it. We're partners, right? It was nights for us. I think that, yeah, but to your point, that's a warning. That's just a heads up. That's not a you're a loser if you don't do it. It's a you should be mentally prepared to grind and hustle for 3 years, before things are where you're at right now, right? Not better. Like, it's just a, hey, you should know, so you don't um overestimate yourself sort of thing. It's not a, hey, if you don't do it, you're a loser, or if it takes you twice as long, you're a loser. Uh, do whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm also not convinced you can make much more than $10,000 a month in less than a year without like breaking anything or pissing anyone off. Like that's a lot, and that's a lot of workload. I mean, that's a full time workload. And then how are you also going to grow the agency on top of that? I mean, that at a certain point, like you either got to have your processes defined because in your first year you're learning too. You're not just like if you're already an expert in Google Ads or SEO or social media marketing or whatever. If you're already an expert in that, I can guarantee you you're not an expert in actually delivering those services as a provider.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of internal things that you got to figure out too. And doing that in the first year, like good luck. But I this whole first point, this is probably going to be our the longest point is this first one because this is really kind of the impetus of this episode of why I wanted to have a conversation with it. But uh, there's a listener who reached out who messages me from time to time just about advice for his agency and for he had asked like how do people scale so fast? Because I asked him, I was like, you need to bring your stuff internal, and I'll explain more about the story later when we get into the other points. But I was like, you need to bring a lot of your stuff internally because he's running into other issues. And he's like, well, if I have to learn all of the to do like the execution and the marketing, am I going to have time to do that and also acquire and close clients to grow the agency? And I was like, well, you do both. Like you have to get the clients first, manage them, and then split your time in that and client acquisition. And then there's going to be a certain point in which you can no longer acquire clients because you're so focused on managing your client work, which is a good place to be. That means you're successful in delivering your services. It means your clients are staying with you and you've got a good product. That's when you start looking to hire. And yeah, you're going to take home less because if you're getting used to managing, let's say, 8 clients at even $1,000 a piece, that's 8,000 a month. If you're getting used to that, you're gonna have to pay someone $2,000 to $4,000 a month if you do it like in house. If you do it, like if you pay American wages essentially, so your income is going to be cut in half, so you can focus on growing the business. So when you first start, you can't expect to bring home 100K a month or 100K a year. Alternatively, you can outsource the labor to. You can basically contract someone to work internally in a cheaper country, like in the Philippines or something like that. That's just not our style. So that's an option that I explained to him that you can do both. You can manage your clients and work on growing the company. You don't have to just do one or the other. And nobody is scaling fast. That was his other argument. He said, "How do other people scale so fast?" And I said, "They don't."
Oh yeah. Here, hold on. Wait, just I want to take that and I want to analyze it. He's say it again. He said what? He
How
said
do other people scale so fast?
what is so fast? Who is he comparing himself to? Who are the so fast people?
I would imagine there are two types of people. One is the gurus who are selling their courses, and two, the people in groups who are bragging or swinging their meat around.
Look, okay, hold on. Let's talk about Pat Flynn for a second. And I'm not going to crap on him. That's not my point. That's not what I mean because he's put out a lot of good content. I've learned a lot of good stuff from him too. He is the prime example of the guru, even if they have good intentions, which is going from zero to, because his was affiliate marketing, right? 0 to 10K. Anyway, I don't even care how or where. Just doing that 0 to 10K. That is a very different process and thing from 10K and above, 10K to 20K, 10K to 100K, 100K to a million K. Those are different things. But it's very easy to get to 10K and then say, well, I'll just I'm going to teach people that, and then I'll start making money. And then they make the real money from that. And that was Pat Flynn. He went from making 10K to 100K, but he was still only making the 10K from affiliate marketing. He wasn't teaching people how to do affiliate marketing at 100,000 a month, except for becoming a guru and teaching other people to, just replicating the process. So that's don't you need a direct comparison if you are going to do some sort of comparison where you're saying, or either you're disappointing yourself or you're trying to be on a supposed path. I see it most commonly where people uh, who are bootstrapped compare themselves to venture back situations, and that's not fair. It's not fair to do to yourself. When other people are cash infused, when they have outside money coming in to accelerate things, that is not the same. It's not even close to the same situation as pulling yourself up from the bootstraps, doing, just using what you have and growing within your limitations that you're able to do that sort of thing. Of course, you can make internal choices on how much you want to sacrifice, like money wise, like not pay yourself, pay other people to help grow your business at a certain pace, that sort of thing. But you need a direct comparison, and that's one of them. Is don't compare yourself to people who are cash infused, who have investors, if that's not you. And then the other thing is the guru thing, and I'm even going to say con men, because a lot of them are, if that's what they're selling. And if you want to go from 0 to 10K and then ditch out, change your name, sink your company, and then just take the money and run, that sort of thing, because they do that. They're out there. I'm not going to say names, because it's also, I just haven't paid that much attention in a long time because I don't want to know I don't care about them. But the point is, if you're going to determine a speed that you feel obligated to, do a direct comparison. And I'm just going to say, just don't even do it at all, because it doesn't matter. You grow at the pace that you're capable of doing. That's all you need to do.
If I lost my train of thought, what would I say?
You'd say,
I
that
had
was great, man. Let's do number 2.
dude, that was great. That was great. Okay, so I know what I was going to say. If you want to make yourself feel better, if you're seeing all these people that are like, I scaled my agency to 7 figures or whatever, which is usually what I hear, you can do one of 2 things, or 3 things, really. If they say they do Google Ads, see if their agency, well, one, look up their agency. What is their agency? Especially all these gurus that have like their own YouTube channel and they sell their own course. What is their agency? Do some history on that. How long have they been around? How long has their domain been around? Is their SEO even good? 2, if they do Google Ads, are they a Google partner? Because you don't have to spend very much to become a Google partner. It's like 10K in 3 months and have good account standing. So don't have to do much. Second, if they're bragging about 7 figures, are they on the Inc. 5000 list? And the argument that I get on that is, well, I'm not interested in being in that list. No, but you're interested in paying on being on Forbes, or you're interested in all this other PR. Why would you not be interested in being on a legitimate Inc. 5000 list? So that's usually kind of like when I see people do this, like that's my first thought, is to not even believe them and just to go see for myself, because there's a lot of indicators that you can tell if someone's actually being truthful. Okay, I think we spent some time on that one. We should move
Yeah, that
on.
was a lot. That was my
All right.
spiciest.
Oh,
That's what
I had one last point on that one, which is, do you think it's a good idea to quit your day job to try and scale quickly to replace your income?
No, wait, hold on. Sorry. I was like ready for it.
I think you should have just kept going with it.
this is this question has survivorship bias, right? This is the problem, is that the people who do it then come back and say, I had to. It was the only way I could have, right? And if that's you, okay, right? You're the only person who can prove yourself right or wrong. But what doesn't happen, you don't hear people who do that and then fail and then, airing out their dirty laundry and being like, yeah, I tried it and it didn't work. What a terrible idea. Nobody's
My
saying
wife left me.
So, and it's also, I've said it before, my story, well, one, it was always, when I left Spinutech, it was weird for a couple reasons. One is I was going back to school. And then the second one was I was honest with them and I told them I might be back. I don't like this. I might fail. This might not work. There's a chance that this doesn't actually go great. And it has, which I'm happy. But um, I took it at a risk when I did that too, partly because I did the savings thing. But um, no, I think that if you think that you're going to do that, then you need to at least prove to yourself that you're going to create the problem first, because everybody will say I'm going to do this and then go, I'm going to go do the thing. But if you start doing the thing and then you create the problem, that's a much better place to be, because you've already proven to yourself that you can do it. But anybody can say I'm going to go do this and then not. That's what most people do with everything. Just think of New Year's resolutions with the gym, right? I'm going to, oh, wait, I'm January 1st. Yeah, January 1st, I'm going to go back. I'm going to lose all this weight. How does that go?
I think it might be smart if you left your job to do something you're already an expert in, to start on your own. Like if a landscaper left his landscaping job to start a landscaping company. Like I think that's one thing. But if you're leaving your day job in corporate America to start an agency because you saw online you can make money doing an agency, but you don't know how to actually do the marketing work, that's stupid, because
Hmm.
you've got a lot to learn from not only execution, but also just business management in general. Like, you know nothing. You saw a YouTube video or you read a Neil Patel article. I don't know, but you did something and that caused you to do this. So learn it first, and you can learn it on nights and weekends.
Yeah. I think that
You
a
can learn it
lot
on
of
the
these
treadmill
things,
by listening to this podcast.
there's some of the, when you were talking earlier about what one of the guys was saying, and a lot of it's funny. I always think it's hilarious when it comes up to say it. But when they just start complaining about the work itself, because that's it always comes back to that problem of, oh, doing the work. And I just think, have you tried sleeping less? And I mean it honestly. Like, some people just don't want to not sleep and not do the work. And honestly, I've gotten better at this point of actually like sleeping and taking care of
Dude, you were up at
myself.
6 a.m. this morning. I was shocked. Well, I mean, you've been up at 6 a.m. like the last, few months.
Yeah, I'm trying to be more of a normal person. But there's still, it ebbs and flows. You get to do that, and then you don't get to do that.
What is an ebb?
I don't know. I've heard it, so I just thought I'd try it, but I didn't think you'd actually call me out on it. So
I've never used the expression because I don't know what an ebb is.
I just did it, but I don't know what it is, and I feel like yeah.
If only, dude.
I was maybe like I'm proliferating something, but I don't see, that was another one. I've heard it. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, you said precarious a lot, and I still don't quite grasp the word. So
Okay, that's one I love though. I do love
yeah,
precarious.
yeah. Okay, moving on.
Yep.
Okay, my next one was the title of it is "You Lack a Foundation." In other words, like managing your services internally and being an expert in them. And I really wanted to point this one out because this is like the reason why I'm telling this person I'm talking to that they need to bring their services internal. And I'll give you an example of what happened. So I've always been a strong proponent of this, but I've never had like the moment where I was like, hey, like, screw around and find out, like, like,
Skip the
like, you
game,
don't have to
stupid
listen to me.
prizes. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to listen to me, but, see what happens. And so what he did was he hired someone off of Fiverr to build a WordPress website for a client that he charged his client for. The person off of Fiverr built the website, and the client was like, yep, it's good, whatever. Then all of a sudden it started having serious loading issues. And the person off of Fiverr was basically like, I can't remember if they were like, it's gonna be X amount of dollars to fix it, or if they were like, I don't know, man, like you signed off on it, it's good, I did my job, I built the website, it's yours now. It's loading issues are your problem. He doesn't know what to do because he doesn't know how to build a website or fix a website or manage one. And so now you are faced with, I guess, two options really. One is find someone to hire and fix it and pay for that and hope that they're not like this Fiverr guy. Or two, learn how to fix it yourself. And this is the problem that I have with having a lot of your complicated services outsourced when you don't even have the process for it internally. And I was like, look, if you knew how to manage your own website, how to build the websites, you would know exactly what there is to do to fix it. And I looked at it and I immediately knew what was wrong with it because I know how to build a website. I know how to manage one. I know how to, especially if it's WordPress. It takes no technical knowledge to set up a WordPress website. It just takes a little bit. There's a learning curve, but you don't have to know any kind of coding or any kind of whatever to manage it. And so the first thing I noticed of why this was taking so long was that the main header of the website was a GIF. It was a 5-second GIF, and it was 34 megabytes large. And I
So
had,
big.
not to mention that the GIF was actually inserted via JavaScript, which is also weird. I don't know what plugin this developer used to insert this GIF as a background, but I would not insert a GIF or video through JavaScript. And that's getting a little technical, but if you're using a visual builder, you can just plug it in, and it's not through JavaScript. It's just through the CSS. But I found it through JavaScript. It wasn't like, you right click on an image and you go to like, view or was it view source or something?
Yeah, with the page source.
Yeah. And you can usually find the image like in the HTML. I couldn't find the HTML. I had to go to the JavaScript and go to the bottom of the console and find it in there. And then so I opened that in a new tab. I downloaded it and then I checked the file details out on my computer. I'm like, yeah, this thing is 34 megabytes. There's no way this is loading fast on anyone's computer. So what I did was I converted it to MP4 instead of a GIF, and it dropped the file size from 34 megabytes down to 4.5 megabytes. That's like an 85% drop. So just doing that one simple thing, and then also just going through and like minimizing all of the images. And then also, if that was inserted through JavaScript, what else is inserted through JavaScript? Because the number one thing should now be to mitigate the amount of JavaScript that's on the site. And it sounds super technical, but if you were an expert in this and you could manage this, like this wouldn't have been a problem. You could just go in and be like, no, this is messed up. Or if you knew this and you still wanted to outsource the work, you could give your outsourced person criteria on how to build these sites. So I even explained to him like, when we build a site, we've built it off of an already optimized template that we built internally. And we have like no more than 4 plugins. That's like one of our rules. The more plugins you have, the slower the site loads. It's also a security risk. And they start to collide and have issues.
Yep, stuff breaks.
We also use only theme defaults. So we don't do inline CSS or HTML to customize font styles. Everything has to be in the theme, unless there's like a background that's a different color for aesthetic purposes. But there's just a whole slew of rules that we have. So now we could outsource our onboarding because we have all of that documented. I mean, some of it's changing right now. That's why we hired Angie. But like this is probably like one of the main things that you're not scaling is because your services can't even be fixed when they break from someone who you've outsourced to.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills when I hear some of this stuff. Because, okay, split this 2 ways. One is just subcontracting and the concept of subcontracting. And that's not new. For example, lawn care companies that don't do mowing, they subcontract out the mowing part, right? In general, with subcontracting, you're still dealing with the I'm responsible as the company who's now subcontracting this. So anything that happens through the subcontractor is my fault and my responsibility to deal with. You should have a good relationship with whoever you're subcontracting to. You should know them decently well and know what their standards are and what you can expect and that sort of thing. If you are going to be open to subcontracting. So that's the one side. But I think the flip side with the internet is that there's just been a lot of things that people have decided are not weird. And this is one of them is, hey, I'm going to go start a business that I know zero about. Right. And I'm going to go start a marketing agency or a web design company or whatever. And I know nothing about it, but I'm just going to outsource the whole thing. And I do know, like, I've heard a few stories of people in traditional businesses somehow making that work, but I've heard a lot more of it not working. And usually when people are successful in business, it's because they're doing business with something that they know. And it's just, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because this is one of the things that the internet has just decided is okay and normal. It's like, selfies. I don't know. It's like it's like a lot of stuff that I'm just like that. Taking a picture of yourself crying, right? I mean, there's so many things that happen online where I'm like, who? I'm looking around, like, who decided this? Who decided that it's cool to go start a business you know zero,
I think
and it's going to be totally fine?
it's just a low barrier to entry thing. Like it doesn't require any like specialized skills or tools or like equipment or anything to start, and anyone can do it.
Then why don't you even do it then, right? I mean, like, if you start a carpet cleaning business, you're going to clean the carpets, right? Like, nobody's out here starting a carpet cleaning business and then not cleaning the carpets. That's crazy
Yeah.
sauce. Like, if you're going to at least, okay, then start a low barrier to entry, then do it. If you're gonna do the easy thing, at
I
least do
mean,
the easy.
there's the other benefits of like, well, it's remote. You can work from anywhere. People sell the lifestyle, which is like doing work on a beach, which you can do. And I think
Uh,
when all those things are combined, having a digital agency really um, uh, really paints a really healthy work life balance picture.
that's terrible. It's not healthy at all.
Uh,
It can be, but no. Starting a business in general is, if you care about your health. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that at all. I wouldn't recommend it. Anyway,
um, yeah. What was I going to say? Oh no, that's all I was going to say. I got to take him out though because he's telling me he's got a shit.
no. Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
A few moments later.
All right, cool. Well, let's go to the third point.
Yeah.
Third point is your processes aren't outlined or documented. So I wanted to have this like right after the you lack a foundation because even if you had all of your processes internal, dude, I'm out of breath.
Did you run?
I did, yeah. Well, like, I have a split foyer, so I have to run up like almost 2 flights of stairs just to get to the upper level to take the dogs out. So I did that, and then I ran back down. And it doesn't matter how in shape you are, dude. When you run up the stairs in your own house, and you're 30 years old, you'll always be out of breath. uh, all right, so even if you have all of the services internal, like you manage them and you do them all, if they're not outlined or documented, you're not going to get much further because as soon as you bring someone on board, whether it's internal or a contractor that you offload this processes to, you're uh, they're going to do things their way. And if you don't control that, there's no way for you to actually scale. So a big thing for Cody and myself is all of our processes are documented. Well, not all of them, but the main, well, we're working towards that. But
Yeah, we
the
keep
main
working on
ones,
it.
yeah, the main ones for onboarding, we're pretty much hands off. If it's a standard client, we sign them, the client gets started, the project goes in ClickUp, and then boom, from start to finish, like Cody and I hardly ever handle anything other than like checking their work, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing goes for like contractors. So like technically from the outside looking in, like Lisette or Laura or Angie are contractors that we're handing work off to, but
Mm-hmm.
they're internal contractors. they're team members that are internal, and this is the only thing they do. But from a financial perspective, they're paid as contractors.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think it's I don't know how agencies scale from zero without having the expertise documented or some way transferable to the people who are actually going to do the work itself. I've seen like half ways where it's been, I don't mean half done, it's been done, but um if you're not doing that sort of thing, then you're going to be relying on expertise of people, right? People who just know, and that's going to be expensive. People
Well,
who
you
know
got an
what they're doing
agency
are
that's
expensive.
you got an agency, a paper agency. You got one that is easily damaged and destroyed, and you don't have anything that can grow past what you know or what your expert knows. So if your expert is the contractor and they leave, they get hit by a bus, they I had a really good one for like managing your services internally for lack of foundation that I forgot because Jax was telling me he had to go outside. But this kind of ties in well too. And it's that a lot of the advice that we I hear is to when you manage client ads on like Facebook or Google or whatever, is to have your client credit card in the account. And that way, quote unquote, they're responsible for, any overspend or any spending issues. Again, we don't subscribe to that belief, but if that's how you did it and you also hired a contractor to execute that work and your contractor put one too many zeros in it into the daily budget, who is responsible for that now? So technically, you're right. So technically, according to the law, it would be, at least the US law, it would be your client, even though they could take you to court for it. But now you've got this middleman who is the one that actually messed it up. So how are you going to take them to court if they're in the Philippines?
Well, you're not taking who's
Right. I'm just worst case
yeah, no,
scenario.
I'm just like I'm trying to think of like what people. It's what you. I don't know. It's what you sign up for. Anybody who's not thinking otherwise. Anybody who's thinking if I'm subcontracting, and then I'm going to have a major problem that I knew I was taking on the risk, and now I'm going to, go grill them. Like you're just not a grown up, right? I mean, you gotta. This is the risk of business.
It blows my mind that like people are okay with that combination. They're okay with the combination of managing a client's ads with the client's credit card in the ad account and then having a contractor that they're subcontracting to manage that. Like that blows my mind. That is like the peak of irresponsibility.
Yep.
All right. Well, anyways, that was what I wanted to mention. So
that was good.
Yeah, I don't think we need to say anything more on like your processes and services. I honestly think that if you want to know more about that, I mean, we've got tons and tons of. I mean, we had that episode with Chris Walker at Legit. I think it was like here it is, episode 64, where the title of it is literally "Don't sell a service you can't deliver yourself," which is awesome coming from Chris because he owns and manages a platform where people can sell their services, essentially subcontract. So to hear his perspective on that too is also really good. So I encourage you to listen to episode 64. Okay, so my next one, this is number 4. Number 4 is you don't know your internal labor rate. And this is something that we believe to our core is probably one of the most important things in scaling an agency. If you don't know your internal labor rate, you're going to either overbook or underbook the amount of clients that you have, and you're not going to be able to scale properly. So if you underbook and you try to scale and add more people and more contractors, you're going to be negative. You're going to be in the hole for money. If you overbook, you're not going to be able to deliver on the clients that you have, and people are going to leave your agency internally because there's too much work to handle. Additionally, when you don't know your internal labor rate, you don't know how much to actually charge for your work. Either it becomes a value bill or do you sink too much time into it to where it no longer matters. And like the amount of money that you're getting for the amount of time that you're spending is not equal. And this was a point that I wanted to throw in here because it came up in conversation with the same person, like the whole reason for this episode. And is because he has, well, I think I could be getting this wrong, but he has one client and he's spending 10 hours per week on the client. He's charging them $550 a month. So you do the math, that's $13.75 an hour.
Just get a job at McDonald's, man.
Yeah. In the US, that's what McDonald's pays. So, I mean, we've talked about this too before. When we first started, that's what we were working for. I mean, this is the same problem that Marcus is running into as well, where he's making like $10 an hour with how much he agreed to work with his first client, which is fine. because it's
Yeah.
your first client and you're getting experience. However, if this is what you're doing and you're outsourcing everything, this is backwards, because now you're not even getting experience. You're just arbitraging stuff, and you're spending more time than you need to, especially if you're just selling the labor off, or
Yeah.
buying the
Sorry.
labor.
I said the whole McDonald's thing, but here's what I meant by that is if you think if you're in that spot and you're doing that and you think this is fine, like you're the dog, but actually, and with the burning
It,
house fire.
yeah.
If you think that and you truly think that that's an okay spot, you're not. You're not okay. You need to recognize that that's a temporary thing and that you're going to have to improve upon it. Because look, it's not bad to just be there. It's bad to stay there, right? You have to move and move up. And like Jake said, look, this is normally uh, products that don't have not service businesses, or if they are service businesses that materials of cost are extremely low, right? If you have inventory, e-commerce, right, or any sort of product business, then you
Manufacturing.
have to account for that. You have to do your math and figure out, how the numbers work out, and you have to be very conscious and aware of where all the money is going. So it's bonkers, man, when you start a agency and then you aren't in some way quantifying what your hours are worth. That's just weird. And it can't scale. It can't work. Your hours, I'm going to quote Mark again here from, old boss, hours are inventory. Your hours are your inventory. If you're an agency, then you need to know that what you have available is time, and there has to be a dollar amount attached to it. And then you have to figure out what's good, what's healthy, and what's reasonable to expect people to do or not do. Because like Jake said, right? I mean, you overbook, you're going to make people's lives hell, and they're going to leave. And they should. And they should, because you've done a bad job. Or if you underdo it, then yeah, ramen noodles, rice, it's going to be tough. So, yeah, you got to find that out, and you have to know, you have to have a calculated labor rate. And yeah, it'll start low and it'll go up with your expertise and your ability to do things more efficiently, right? I mean, all that
We
good
talked
stuff.
we've talked about this a lot. Like, and we even, in one of the recent episodes, I can't remember which one it was. I think we were like, you can start at 100. You can start even lower than that if you're a freelancer. You can start at $40 an hour. But as soon as you go to the point of saying, I want to start hiring people, I think it needs to be at least 100. Even like in like the lawn care industry, our clients are charging $80 per labor hour because it's very low skilled work. But in an agency space, I personally believe it should be at least 100 an hour. And it sounds like a lot, especially if you're by yourself. 100 an hour is a lot. But you also have to live minimally. You have to go back to point number one of this episode. You have to live minimally, because $100 an hour is $100 an hour right now. But as soon as you hire somebody, it's like $30 an hour, and it starts to drop. And we've talked about this in episode 19. This is specifically about how to calculate your internal labor rate and
Yeah,
why
we
it's
give the
more
models,
important
right?
revenue. Yeah. And then episode 60 with Ilya Markov with Toggle, about time tracking, because you need to know how much time you're spending if you're going to track your internal labor rate. And then there's a third one that we recently talked about. It was episode 69, which is the goals that we aim for in our agency. And the only real goal that we have is making sure that our internal labor rate is an acceptable amount of our allocated labor. So
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's different thinking about it now, because if you don't have a team yet, you're not thinking about it. You're just thinking about yourself. You're just thinking about yourself. That sounds selfish. But like, you have to do it for planning purposes. But I think it becomes especially more important. It's much more critical once you start having team members, because like, if you want to run your life into the ground, that's your choice, right? But when you have a team, people aren't signing up to be abused. I really hope that they're not, and I hope that you're not out there trying to abuse them and just take advantage of them to the max that you can. Service businesses, we get beat up enough by people who don't want to recognize that people are behind this. But yeah,
I,
have a
I
heart, right?
I wish we would have started this out with 6 reasons, because I thought of a 6th reason. Maybe I'll just change it and then we'll address it later. But the other one was like, you don't plan ahead, like, because you mentioned like when you start planning, it starts to matter. But when at the very beginning you're only thinking about yourself, which is true, but everything you need to do, you need to think like 3 steps ahead.
Mhm.
Cody and I were just having this discussion last night. And one of the problems that we run into, it's more of an annoyance or an inconvenience for us, is 2-factor authentication. So we have a general email that people share to log into dashboards and to see analytics, and a general email for Google business profiles. That way our clients don't have to add like every new team member we get. They just add one email and then we have access to it. The problem is we have a lot of security. So when everything we sign up for, we have 2-factor authentication. Well, if one email or one Google Voice number is associated to an email that we set up that everybody has access to, if they need to get access to it on a new device, or they reset their cookies or cache, and they've got to get a 2FA text message from Cody, including myself. And the problem with that is, if you want to run and establish a remote agency where you have team members all over the world, the moment that's like 6 p.m. for someone else or noon for someone else, and they need 2FA and it's 4 a.m. for Cody, that's not very scalable. You're going to offset client work by a whole day at least, and it's just not acceptable. So last night I was talking to Cody because I found basically a solution, or a possible solution, that we've got to dig into. And again, it's not a problem of ours right now, but I remember telling you, you're like, is this like a right now thing or a later thing? And I was like, it's a later thing, but it's going to suck when we start getting a lot of employees, and it's going to delay a lot of stuff. So we need to figure out what the solution is now, so we can prepare to move to that.
I just think it's a good partner question to ask too. This is like a random offshoot, but I like just asking, like, hey, is this a now thing? Like, because if you tell me like we need to prioritize this now, I'm like, okay, I'm on it, right? I'll make it happen. But
yeah,
it's good to know.
You got to be realistic about what you decide to prioritize too, because this is very important. It's very important for our growth, but there's other things right now that are more important for our growth, and we need to address it when we have time. And but before we get too big, we start to get 10 team members, 10 minions. I think that's when we absolutely need it. That's the priority.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, that was number, I guess, 5. So number 6, number 6 is your product sucks. So,
boo.
if you're managing your client work on yourself, and you're helping, and you're growing the agency by yourself, you do all the internal work, your processes are outlined, and you know your internal labor rate, but you're still not growing, it's probably because your product sucks. Like, you probably don't have a product that's actually scaling, or that actually like is mutually profitable, which is a huge thing that we promote. So if it's profitable, it's got to be profitable for you, and it also has to be profitable for your client. You can't just produce something that your client pays for and then they don't get a return. They have to be able to track and measure that return, which is one of the reasons why we're such a strong proponent of accurate KPIs and reporting. We've had a couple episodes on this as well. So, if all the boxes are checked, but then you're like, hey, I'm not scaling, take a look at your product. I mean, that's why we have our core, the foundation, because that thing sold like hotcakes. That was a great product. Still is.
Yeah.
Still slaps.
I mean, again, know what you're doing. I don't know. It just seems weird. I mean, experiment, right? That's a good idea too. But there's 2 different ways that you can kind of approach a market or go to market, where you're taking something from 0 to 1, or you're going from 1 to 500 plus, right? And for us, at least product wise, it was very much a 1 to 500, because we knew what we were going to offer. and we knew that it worked, and that wasn't an issue. Exploring new things like that, there's even greater risk. There's more potential for reward and that sort of thing. But, I wouldn't have that be the baseline product. I wouldn't go from, or know that, this is going to be risky and volatile, even more than any other case or situation. I can't remember if we were on the podcast talking about it, but Jake, we were talking like, local service businesses. I was saying like, we need a, what is it? A dry cleaner. There we go. That's it, on this side of town. And
oh yeah,
there's been more than that. Things that I just noticed. I'm like, hey, this service isn't fulfilled in this market. There's more demand than there is supply, and all somebody has to do is come in here and do it. And that's it. It's not new. It's not fancy. It's not hard. They just have to come in, do it the way that you do it to run it successfully, and boom, there you go. Right. So don't reinvent if you don't have to. And then if you are going to reinvent, understand that comes with separate and different risks too. And if that's where your agency is, you're going from that 0 to 1 and you're wondering why it's not working. Well, maybe there isn't a market for it.
Yeah. I think outlining your start. I mean, if you just say I do Facebook ads, okay. How are your Facebook ads profitable for your client? And what are you doing differently? Or maybe you're not doing anything differently first. Maybe you're just learning, but you're still providing a need, which is people need Facebook ads or they need Google ads. And even if you're not differentiating yourself in the beginning, and maybe you are just by your niche, but maybe you're not differentiating yourself by your other competitors, you can, when you first start, I mean, you can be solely focused on like 1 or 2 clients, and that's your value. And we're getting into a whole different topic here, but eventually while you're learning that, you got to start crafting a product that actually sells, that actually does well, that for your 1 or 2 clients where they're like, yeah, this is great. Like this works awesome. And then start selling that and selling that more, and making sure the quality is the same for each. And you're going to run into situations where it doesn't work for one client. One client works extremely well, and another client it doesn't work at all. So then maybe it never will work for that one client, but maybe it'll work better than what it is. And so the whole point is optimizing the package so that it works for the most amount of people, and it isn't totally custom. So keep in mind, like if you do something custom for this one client that it doesn't work, how can you apply that to everybody and just change the process for that one product so that it works better for everyone? And maybe making it better for that one client that it wasn't working at all for brings down the over success that you had with another client just a little bit, just marginally. To me, that's a better win because it wins for the most amount of people, but maybe not as much for some people. And I approach business in a very utilitarianistic way, and that's really the whole point of a productized service. Even with SaaS, I mean, a SaaS company isn't going to make a specific change that benefits one user. I mean, it's either going to benefit all the users or the majority of the users, and some people might get less benefit out of it. I mean, look at what Ahrefs is doing right now with switching from like their actual like invoice billing or just like their standard package cost to like actual utilization billing. Like the big agencies are getting hosed.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas like the small guys, like they now have pricing that's not $200 a month.
I'm saying, but I don't know about this. I don't know.
It's all over the internet, dude.
My bad.
All right.
People are like, what does Cody do? He doesn't even know about a lot of these things. He's not, I'm like, I don't know.
You eat ramen and watch anime.
Yep. Live in my own
or Panda Express.
Focused world of very limited information. I think it's better that way though, because there's so much to keep up with.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's recap. Let's end this. It went on longer than we thought it was going to go. That's what she said. All right. So the 6 reasons why your agency isn't scaling, we'll recap. You're trying to scale too fast. Nobody is making $100,000 in their first year. And if they are, things are breaking and they're pissing people off. Or they're an anomaly. and that's not the norm. Like Imangaji likes to think so. 2, you lack a foundation. You don't manage your services internally, and you're not an expert in the services that you offer. Those are extremely important because things will go wrong, and they can and they will go wrong. And you need to be able to adjust and fix those and not rely on somebody else to fix the mistakes that are your problem. 3, your processes aren't outlined or documented. Even if you manage things internally, you're not scaling because those processes aren't documented. You or someone else is the sole expert. And if you're not able to be present in the moment on every single account forever, your agency will never scale, and everything is going to be on the backs of people trying to figure out how to do things all over again. 4, you don't know your internal labor rate. So you don't know how to charge. You're not tracking your time. If you don't know your internal labor rate, you could be spending too much time on a client that's not giving you enough money. And it might be good for your pocketbook, but as soon as you start scaling, you're going to be in the negative. 5, you don't plan ahead. So you're only thinking about you in the moment, but you need to be thinking about what it looks like if you had 10x that. If you have one client and you're managing this and you're spending X amount of time on it and you're doing X amount of things, what does it look like when you have 10 of those? How many team members do you have managing that? What's your process look like? Can you train 10 team members? This goes back onto, Cody and myself looking at how we're going to manage 2-factor authentication for a remote global team. And it's not a problem of ours now, but it will be, and we need to address it. And finally, 6 is your product sucks. So if it's not mutually profitable, if you're not making money off of it, it's not a good product. It's not going to scale. If your client's not making money off of it, you're not going to keep clients around long enough or be able to sell it consistently enough for you to actually be able to forecast and make those growth moves that you need to make. And with all that, that is the roundup. That's the 6 reasons why your agency isn't scaling.
That's good, man.
Awesome.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The whole time you were talking, though, I was just trying to memorize that guy's name or something close to it, and I have something. Ready? Here's what I'm gonna call him: Evan Bengali.
Evan
Bengali, like the tiger.
Oh, Bengal.
Yeah, there's added the E because I think there's something like that in there.
Wow, cool. I always find like the recap is better than the actual episode. And I feel like people get to the recap and they're like, why wasn't this just the episode?
Yeah, they should start with that. Come on. I didn't have to listen to the whole thing. I don't even know Evan Bengali.
All right, well, everybody, on that note, we're going to leave. So, all right, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
See ya. Yeah, you're like, come on, man. Why?
Does this sound like I'm talking from my Shure mic?
Yeah.
Okay, well, because my wavelengths are so tiny.
No, I mean, you sound good.
Why are yours so big?
I don't know. I'm not doing anything new.
Do you have it on far or near?
Far, but it's usually on far.
Oh, it's on far?
Yeah, but it's like pretty much always is.
Yeah, that's why. Because I have mine on near. Let me change mine to far and see what it looks like. Far.
Does that mean that I don't know that guy's name? Should I actually know his name?
Far. Oh, look, my wavelengths are big now.
That's good.
No, it's not me. I don't like that guy.